Hello and welcome on the show. Due apologies for starting a bit late, a bit behind schedule because we had to attend to some few technical issues. It's a beautiful day to be alive and well, and I would like to welcome you on today's edition of the show. It's always nice to have you join us. This is Political Spectrum coming to you live from Uyo, the state's capital. And I remain your host, Onumese Ehinoma Olusegun. As always, today promises to be exciting and engaging, and as usual, our conversations continue on everyday political and economic developments in Nigeria. Now, conversations on policy and policy actions of government with the immediate reactions by citizens, big businesses, institutions, and the civil society to it. We also follow conversations from the citizens who are directly impacted by such policies or executive orders, as with a view to throwing more light on government activities, decisions, and all directions, making government more accountable to its people. But first, on President Tinubu's administration's calendar, today is October the 10th, Tuesday, 2023, and it marks exactly 135 days of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in office as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This is now exactly 4 months and 15 days as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. All right, moving straight into the issues of the day as a follow-up to our sequel on the Chicago State University saga, very determined to remove President Bola Tinubu from office. The presidential candidate of the PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, has applied for leave of the Supreme Court to file what he termed as fresh evidence, as it is supported by the Supreme Court's rules of 1985. But first, before we go into that major discussion, let us take a look at some recent developments in the nation's polity and political economy. Now, the most trending now, Tinubu swells media team as the Nigerian economy bites harder. Now, despite the bad state of Nigeria's economy, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has appointed even more persons to his media aid, further bloating the size of the government at a time of clamor for cutting down the cost of governance. Now, the president on Monday appointed 5 more persons to the Presidential Advisory Media Team, bringing the total number of such appointments to at least 11. Now, a statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Chief Ajuri Ngelale, listed the new appointees as one, Fela Durotoye, who will serve as Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Values and Social Justice. The second being Frederick Nwabufo, Senior Special Assistant on Public Engagement, and Leader Akigbe, Senior Special Assistant on Strategic Communications. Now, Aliu Audu was named Special Assistant on Public Affairs, and Francis Abba as the Personal Assistant to the President on Special Duties. Now, the statement also said Mrs. Akigbe, who was until her appointment the Senate correspondent for a popular TV channel known as Channel Television, will also serve as the communications advisor to the president of the on the ECOWAS Commission. Now, in a blight insensitivity to the current economic adversities of the country and the hardship, the government removal of fuel subsidy has plunged millions of Nigerians into an emerging attribute of administration. The president's son, Sheyi Tinubu, recently flew in a president jet from Abuja to see a game of polo in Kano at the expense of public funds. Now, looking at some of his previous appointments, that's at President Tinubu's appointment, Mr. Tinubu assumed office in May, made 20 new appointments, out of which no fewer than 6 were his media aides. Among them were Tunde Rahman, SSA Media, Abdulaziz SSA Print Media, Otega Ogra, SSA Digital Public Affairs, Shegun Dada, Special Assistant Social Media, Nosa Asemota, Special Assistant Visual Communication. Now, in the same month, also announced Mr. Ngelale as his Special Advisor on Media. Guild of Editors, NGE, served as a Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, while Garba Shehu, another former president of the NGE, Nigerian Guild of Editors, was a Special Assistant on Media. Now, a former editor of Nigerian Tribune on Saturday, Laolu Akonde, was at the time Senior Special Assistant on Media to the then Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo. Now, Ima Niboro and Ruben Abati served at different times as special advisors on the media for former President Goodluck Jonathan. Now, in 2012, a physician, Doyin Okukwe, joined Mr. Jonathan's media team as Senior Special Assistant on Public Affairs. He had previously served former President Olusegun Obasanjo as a special advisor on media and publicity. Now, let us look at the state of the economy. With the fresh appointments, President Tinubu may be turning a blind eye to the calls to cut down on the cost of governance. Also, people have argued. No doubt the swelling number of presidential aides will fritter the nation's economy and its lean resources. Now, the rising cost of governance take a large portion of the national budget without leaving much for developmental projects. Overheads, personal costs, debt servicing, and other recurrent expenditure take a huge chunk of the federal spending. Now, remarkably, since assuming power, the president and some of his aides have repeatedly pleaded with the Nigerians to be patient with his administration, especially in the face of rising cost of food and services occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy on the 29th of May. He says, and I quote, "I make my pledge to the country that no decision will be difficult for this administration to take for the prosperity and unity of this country." Now, economic reforms could be slow, but patience a little more, he once said. Now, while addressing some members of his party, the APC, as recently as 1st of October, Mr. Tinubu, in his Independence Day anniversary broadcast, noted that his administration had embarked on several public sector reforms to stabilize the economy and direct fiscal and monetary policy to fight inflation. Now, according to him, the reforms were aimed at encouraging production, ensuring the security of lives and property, and lending more support to the poor and the vulnerable. Now, he, however, acknowledged that the reforms may be painful, but are needed to acquire a great future for Nigeria. He says again, and I quote him, "We now carry the cost of reaching a future Nigeria where the abundance and fruits of the nations are fairly shared among all, not hoarded by a select and great few. A Nigeria where hunger, poverty, and hardship are pushed into the shadows of an ever-fading past," he has said. But like I've established, Nigerians have gotten talking again. More appointments, more ministerial nominees, the biggest, by far the biggest ministerial cabinet, you know, in any successive administration within the era of democracy in Nigeria, and now more aides. And real quick, a lot of people have started arguing, why would you need more spokespersons? There's something you also want to defend again. I didn't say that. It is the argument in the public space back and forth because we must continue to speak truth to power, and whatever activities government embarks on must be criticized to constantly keep government on its toes. So the rest, as the development unfolds, we'll be bringing them to you. But here you have it. You be the judge. Now, let's quickly run through another development before we go into the main issues. NNPCL has finally come to deny alleged plans to increase petrol pump price. Now, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPCL Limited, has refuted claims that it plans to increase its pump price for premium motor spirit, which is PMS, commonly known as petrol. Now, the company's management, in a statement shared on Friday on the microblogging site X, said that this was contrary to speculations. Now, they wrote, and I quote, "Dear esteemed customers, we at NNPCL retail value your patronage, and we do not have the intention to increase our PMS pump price as widely speculated." Now, and we do not, let me take that part again, we do not have the intention to increase our PMS pump prices as widely speculated. Please buy the best quality products at the most affordable price. Well, you be the judge. Now, recall that since President Bola Tinubu assumed office on the 29th of May, declaring the fuel subsidy is gone, the NNPCL has increased its prices at least twice, now costing 3 times. To have it, NNPCL come out to say, at no point recently do they have plans to increase the price of PMS, because rumors have been creating some kind of agitations, and on the ground we've started seeing some panic buyings and petrol stations trying to modulate or regulate their products. But hey, the NNPCL has come to say quite clearly now, and straightforward that they don't have the intentions to raise the price yet again. Now, to the major part of the story, and I would quickly I'll lay a foundation of it before I introduce my guest. My guest today is going to be, once again, the international investigative journalist, Mr. David Hundeyin, who will be joining us virtually from Europe. It's still about the story that has refused to go away, and that's talking about the academic records from Chicago State University after there's been a deposition from the registrar of the school concerning the academic records of the highest citizen of the Federal Republic, talking about the president himself, and with Atiku trying so hard to make sure that these things comes to the fore and the public makes use of whatever information they gather. Now, Tinubu attended Chicago State University but forged Chicago State University certificate submitted to INEC. Now, this statement is credited to a Nigerian US-based scholar, a very known person on social media referred to as Farouk Moregi. Now, a Nigerian-American professor, Farouk Adamu Moregi, has offered his assessment on the academic records. Now, Moregi, an activist and author, made 6 major findings about Tinubu from the CSU documents, pointing that from the record, the Nigerian president actually attended Chicago State University, forged his diploma certificate submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. Now, probably after he lost his original certificate. Now, from his analysis in an article published on his blog, the author and newspaper co-columnist stated, and I quote, Chicago State University's office of the registrar affirmed that Bola A. Tinubu indeed attended the university from August 77 through June 79. And was awarded a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with honors on June 22nd, 79. Now, the registrar also swore to this under oath. The penalty for lying under oath in America can be steep. It's punishable by up to 10 years in prison, end of quote. Now, Moregi explained that the certificate that Tinubu submitted to INEC was inconsistent with the certificate CSU issued in 79, and subsequently, which he said indicates that Tinubu forged his certificate. Now, Moregi added that, and I quote, it costs only $26 to get a replacement diploma from the Chicago State University, end of quote. Now, he revealed that it takes between 8 and 10 weeks to receive it, that is replacement. After filling out the diploma replacement form, other form, my guess is that, that's Moregi's guess, not mine, my guess is that in the typical last minute fire brigade approach to things among Nigerian elites, Tinubu didn't plan ahead and didn't have enough time to apply for his replacement diploma from CSU to meet INEC's deadline and decide to visit Lagos in famous Oluwole for a counterfeit replacement. Now, on the claim that Southwest College transcript that Tinubu used to get admitted to Chicago State University belonged to a female, the media scholar questioned the authenticity of the transcript, adding that there are many errors in it according to him. Now, such as the date and social security number. However, he concluded, that the Chicago State University documents will authenticate the claim. Now, he says, and I quote, well, we saw from the documents released to Atiku that after accepting his transfer credits from Southwest College, which later became Richard Daley College, CSU required Tinubu to take qualifying exams in English, math, and reading, which he passed. Why did CSU allow a man who presented a transcript that belonged to a woman to take qualifying exams as a man? He continues, and I quote, Tinubu obviously identified as a man throughout the 2 years he studied at the school. Now, a Nigerian Chicago State University graduate and classmate of Tinubu swore under oath that Tinubu ran for and won elections as president of the Chicago State University, account a young version of Tinubu. And Tinubu's handwriting and signature in the June 27, 2022 consent to release students' education records from which authorized CSU to release his academic records to one Oluwole Afolabi of 3 Roosevelt Avenue, West Orange, New Jersey. Now, seems to me similar to his handwriting and signatures of his CSU record. Now, that is Moregi still talking.